Hi guys, my name is Jesus and I'm a film school dropout. So I really wanted to make this video, but I was a little hesitant because I know that I could make some people mad, and by no means I think that this is a bad movie. I just don't think it's that good or great. So before I actually start with my critique, I want to say a few things. I really like this movie, and there's a few reasons why. One of the first reasons that I want to mention is that I really enjoyed seeing these characters, and I actually enjoyed the first Justice League, but both of these movies in my opinion have a lot of flaws. Next, I want to mention that I really enjoyed the experience of waiting and getting excited about this movie and speculating about if it was gonna be better or if it was gonna be worse, and I really thought that it was gonna be at least quite a bit better than the original cut, because Joss Whedon, he didn't know how people were gonna react to his cut at all, and then Zack Snyder got the chance to re-edit the movie, and he got a lot of feedback from fans and from other executives and people that worked in the movie before. So this movie is definitely a lot better than the first movie, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a really good movie or a great movie. And I also want to mention that I think it's a huge feat, the fact that fans and Zack Snyder raised their voices and actually got the studios to listen. And I also really admire that Zack Snyder actually fought for finishing the project that was so special for him, and he actually managed to do it, and that's something that you don't see every day. That's a success story that I really admire. And on top of that, I really admire that he convinced the executives at Warner to let him release a 4-hour long movie. And I really think that's a huge feat for any directors, because I actually believe that he wanted to release this movie in movie theaters before this whole situation happened in the world, and the fact that they agreed, that just speaks volumes of the power of raising your voice. And I really wanted to mention all these positive things because I really don't want to get people to think that I'm just trashing this movie, because I really liked it, and like I said before, I really want to watch it again soon. And I also wouldn't really call this movie a bad movie, because I really don't think that, but I definitely don't think this is a very good movie. And I think that the fact that you don't look at this movie just as a movie, you look at this with the whole backstory of how this movie got made, I think that whole context makes a lot of fans and critics praise this movie so much, and I mean, it's well deserved. This was a huge feat as that this movie got made. But if you just look at this as a movie, I really don't think this is a very good movie. One of my biggest problems, and it's not just my problem, it's also a problem that a lot of people, even people that really love this movie and defend this movie so much, is the fact that this movie is too long. And I'm not just saying that because I don't want to sit down and watch a 4-hour long movie without a break. I'm just saying this because there's so many things that could have been cut from the movie, and I think this would have improved this movie so much. And I think that actually if there was a cut probably like 3 hours long, this movie, I would probably say that this movie is good if there was such a shorter version of this movie. But obviously with Zack Snyder directing and obviously behind the editing and everything like that, I also think that the script has a lot of things that are really interesting, but the execution of it is pretty bad. And I'm actually not gonna complain about Zack Snyder's directing style, because even though it's not my cup of tea, I know that even a lot of fans don't really like how dark the movie looks and feels. But I mean, that's really subjective, so I'm not really gonna talk about that in this review. But like I said before, my biggest issue with this movie is the script. I really don't think this is a good script at all. And I mean, I really like the story, but like I previously mentioned, it's not well executed, the script. If you really sit down and you kinda watch the movie and try to find the logic behind many of the characters' actions, there's no logic at all. But before I talk a little bit more about the script and all the issues that I have with it, I really want to mention that I was pleasantly surprised by some of the cinematography in this movie, especially that scene in Iceland with Batman and Aquaman, because I really liked it. I also think that it was too long. I didn't really need to see that beautiful scene of just girls singing about Aquaman, but you know, I really enjoyed the scenery, and I actually really like the color correction in it. And I mean, it's pretty not really saturated, the color correction, but I really liked it, and I think it works really well. And now I really want to talk about the script and one of the biggest plot holes, and it is that in the movie you see a flashback scene, and you don't see it, you are told, because this movie is full of exposition dialogue. So you are told that Darkseid had conquered, and I think he destroyed thousands and thousands of worlds. So he gets to Earth, and we don't really know how all these different civilizations find out that he came, and they all get enough time to get together before he gets to Earth. But my biggest issue with this flashback is the fact that you are told that Darkseid conquered so many worlds, and Earth is the only planet that actually stopped him and actually defeated him. He gets wounded and he goes back to his planet, and after that you realize that apparently he forgot completely about Earth. And if I was Darkseid and I was trying to conquer the world, I mean the universe or whatever, I would have something more personal against Earth, because they were the only ones that stopped him. So if I were him, I would be so mad, and I would actually go back, and I think that would have actually helped Darkseid have a better motivation, rather than, you know, just a bad guy that wants to, you know, get the anti-life equation and conquer the world and all that. On top of that, I mean, I googled it to make sure that I didn't miss anything, and I couldn't find anything about this issue that I have with the script. So I really think that it wasn't explained. And what I'm talking about is that when the ships from the Darkseid army land on Earth, they land on top of the equation which I just mentioned, and I just don't understand how Darkseid forgot all about it. Like, later in the movie you were told that one of his biggest goals was finding that equation, and the fact that Steppenwolf quote unquote found it because they actually saw it before in the flashback many years ago, it makes no sense. Because how could you forget that your main goal, and the fact that you conquered so many worlds and Earth was the only planet that you know actually were defeated by? It just really doesn't make sense for me. And especially the way that the script, you know, worded all of this, because Steppenwolf said that he found the equation, but he didn't. It was found before in the flashback. They actually landed on top of it, and I really think that's my biggest issue. And if they had actually handled this in a better way, I would probably incline more towards saying that this was a good movie. And probably my other biggest issue is that apparently Martian Manhunter had been pretending to be Martha Kent this whole time. So if you actually stop and think about it, he pretty much, or I guess Martha pretty much only had scenes with Lois Lane, and they had many conversations, and that causes a lot of problems. And imagine if Martha and Lois Lane sit down and they talk, and Lois says, well, thank you so much for, you know, being there for me and visiting me yesterday, and, you know, just cheering me up, making me, you know, try to realize that life goes on after the tragedy that happened. And then what if Martha, the real Martha, said, what are you talking about? I mean, this is a huge problem that I can't see not happening. So the fact that the script does not address this, or does not show us a way in which this could have worked, I think that just really shows that the script was really weak. Another issue that I had, and this is more of a personal preference, I guess, but I know that a lot of people also think that there was too much CGI, and all the CGI in my opinion was pretty bad. Like, there's so many scenes that just actually look like a video game, and not even like one of the brand new video games for Xbox One, I forgot what it's called, and like PlayStation 5. It's like they look pretty old, and I think that this is not gonna age that good at all. And there's so many backgrounds that are clearly CGI, and I really think that that was very, very not necessary. And finally, I just want to mention a few other things that bug me about this movie, and one of them is how, like, you can really tell that the nightmare scene with the Joker and the post-apocalyptic Justice League, or I guess not the Justice League, but the heroes that remain alive. I really think that this could have been tucked into the movie and like reworked a little bit better so that it actually doesn't feel like a half-hour epilogue. And don't get me wrong, I kind of really liked it, but there's so many issues with it, and I also didn't really like how Jared Leto sort of changed his acting, and I really disliked him in his previous Joker appearance in the Suicide Squad. But even here, he tried to kind of change a little bit, and I do think that he improved, but I really can't take him seriously because he doesn't have such a presence like the older Jokers. Like even Joaquin Phoenix, you actually could see him on screen, and I really felt that he was in control that when he actually became the Joker by the end of the movie. And Jared Leto, I just think that he acted like he was just a little bit dumb, like he wasn't really smart, and I really don't get how he cannot be like really smart and, you know, calculating and, you know, such a even just an agent of chaos. Like, and because of that, I really can't believe that at the end of the world, and after having so many heroes, and I'm assuming villains disappeared because of this whole dark side and angry injustice Superman, I really can't believe that he was one of the few people that remain and that try to fix this mistake. And you could really tell that Jared Leto was not actually on set with the rest of the cast, because I believe there's not a single shot of him and, you know, Batman together, and like I just think it was handled a little bit too awkwardly, but because of the circumstances, I understand it. It just really threw me off. And I know that Zack Snyder really wanted to go all out and not really worry about anything. He just really wanted to put out as much footage as he had, and he just really wanted to go over the top. So I understand that, but I really think that even though that's his intention, that's one of the reasons why this movie doesn't really work for me. And I know that this video is probably way too long by now, so I'm just gonna try to mention a few things that I really liked. And one of them is that I really love the cast, and I really loved seeing everyone working together, especially towards the third act with Superman actually being good and, you know, fighting Steppenwolf to get all together. So I really enjoyed that. By the way, I think that the redesign of Steppenwolf was really bad. I really liked him a lot more before. And even though I just criticized a lot from the nightmare scene, I really like what the nightmare scene implies and like the future that it implies, and I really think that exploring that would be very bold and, you know, would be really interesting to see in sequels. And finally, one of my favorite things about this whole movement and the movie and this whole experience is that not a lot of movies or studios, you know, are advocates for mental health, and I really appreciate that Zack Snyder and this whole crew and cast really, you know, really talked about mental health, and I think that really speaks volumes about the kind of people that they are. But overall, I think that if you just looked at this movie as what it is, a movie, and not the movement behind it, and especially if you don't compare this movie to the original, you are gonna realize that it's not a great movie. I mean, the plot holes are still there, and there's still a lot of casting choices that not a lot of fans and, you know, people in general like that much, like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. Jared Leto was just, I don't know what he's doing. I really feel like he's actually trying to sabotage this character, like on purpose. If you actually sit down and analyze this movie and the script, you can realize that this is not well executed. But, you know, with all that said, I really think that you shouldn't really care about what other people say, and if you enjoyed this movie like I did, you shouldn't really care that much about what people have to say, and especially you shouldn't care if there's fans, or well, definitely not fans, but if there's people out there that just really want to hate this movie for unknown reasons. Like, I really think that you shouldn't care about what anyone has to say about this, and I really think that if you enjoyed this movie, then it's completely worth it. And I just wanted to talk about this movie to, let you guys know my opinion, and hopefully put my point out there, because the fact that I like this movie doesn't actually make it a good movie. It just makes me like it and enjoy it, and that's, in my opinion, all that matters. So anyways, that's the end of the video, and thank you so much if you actually watched the whole video. It really means a lot to me. And even if for some reason you actually saw bits and pieces or just the beginning and you somehow end up watching the end too, thank you so much for just the fact that you watch this video. And please, if you liked it, subscribe, and please like the video, and if you can, and if you don't mind so much sharing this video, I really appreciate it if you do, because I really want to continue making these videos and grow this channel. So anyways, just thank you so much again for watching, and I am working on creating a podcast, which I hope to be able to upload on Saturday. So if you're interested in, hearing my opinions again, and maybe, just listening to them, and, I don't know, do the dishes or do some other stuff, and, just have some background noise, please check it out. Bye.